Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 28 of the Diz Unlimited podcast. Coming to you live from the studio that dreams built. I'm Rhino, and joining me today for this fun Disney. Well, I don't want to get too premature on that, but maybe fun Disney discussion. We've got Hannah Anderson.
I'm here to bring the fun.
And Craig Williams.
I'm here to bring the fire.
Before we get started, I want to remind everybody. I don't know about that. I want to remind everybody that this and everything that we do here is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line vacation. When you book with them, it costs you nothing extra on your trip, and you help support the channel and all the content that we produce here. So head over to dreamsunlimitedtravel.com and get your free, no obligation quote today. This episode is also brought to you by our Patreon supporters. If you want to learn more about how you can get exclusive content from different members of the team and help support us and join in on our live post show that happens immediately following this, hence why we called it Post. It's not a Post Malone love hour. I mean, it could be today.
For me.
It could be. Hannah's been confessing a lot of things to me before we got started.
Mm-hmm.
So you can learn more by heading over to patreon.com/DizUnlimited. Now, if you are joining us on YouTube live right now, hello. And if you are in that chat and you got nothing better to do, you want to hit that thumbs up maybe, take a second, subscribe to the channel, click that bell. You get notified whenever we have any sort of content out there or anything like this. Now, guys, before we get started, I need you to know that I got a text from one Miss Erica Resnick this morning.
Oh,
so did I.
Girl.
I'm going to read you what she said. Did she say the same thing to you?
She did, but unfortunately, I had already watched her Instagram stories, so it was ruined.
Oh, then I am about to tell you something different that she didn't tell me, I guess, because I didn't see any Instagram stories. But she said, hey there, someone just came up to me while I was at work and told me the next time you see Rhino, let him know to put that whistle away. And I was like, actually, I think it's really funny. So I encourage you to keep using the whistle to just piss off people.
I think people loved it. This just
dang it, I ruined it. No more whistle.
That was not what I was talking about. It was the good news that Erica will... she's going to be back to being friends with people at Walt Disney World. So
how soon?
It's very soon.
Oh,
very soon. Next week's a big week. So
all right.
Is she going to be somewhere we can go visit?
We don't.
I don't
tell
think
you
we
this.
can
We don't
even
have the
say that.
money.
Yeah,
okay.
We don't have the money.
We don't have the money.
Oh.
Yeah. No, we have the money. John's got the money.
Something
We
else
don't.
Now you've piqued my interest. Yeah.
Well, something outside of a dumpster, I guess. Like that's where my level of money goes to. Yeah, sorry.
It's not the Dollar Tree.
Well, this week we're going to be going over some of the recent news that we have here, along with some juicy takes on some social media happenings over the past week. But first, I want to wish everyone a happy belated Earth Day. And say, let's just F each other and not the planet. I'm excluding everyone in this room from that. Anyway, remember, Arbor Day is this Friday, so happy Arbor Day, everybody, to those who celebrate, of course. I don't want to offend anybody. Can you believe it? Arbor Day and Earth Day, the same week. What a time to be alive.
That's right.
It's probably the same day and same week.
Too bad you aerosol hairspray this morning. Sorry, Earth.
Yeah. Hannah did
Your
come
day
in
was
just
Monday.
spraying it, not at anything.
Floating on a cloud of chemicals. My bad.
Listen, I've been watching a lot of Masters of the Air on Apple TV, and I'm glad that I wasn't alive in the 40s,
that a show where
because
people
that seems rough.
They just
what
farting
is
into bags or something?
No.
I've heard there's money in that now. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh, my.
Oh,
can
the
we
jars?
Can we talk about Disney? Can we please?
Well, speaking of, this would have been a great time to go right into the
promote my new
Smellephants story. So, unfortunately, we have our segues out of order today. But our first bit of what's been buzzing on social medias, and then I wrote here, insert still relevant buzzing sound from The Fifth Element.
Do it.
Okay. First up, users on X were discussing a notice of commencement for construction at the Imagination Pavilion in Epcot, posted by user A Park Mind. This is leaving many hopeful for an update to Journey into Imagination, with some spreading the rumor that a condensed version of the original ride could return one day, along with Dreamfinder. Alicia Stellar is saying it's a bathroom renovation, to which I say, I guess the crapper's full. I can't say the real one because we don't say bad words.
Those are
on
great
the show.
bathrooms over there.
You know, they can be great bathrooms over there. They're great during the park, normal park days, but they are a nightmare for Run Disney races. But most bathrooms are. Sorry, I'm just humble bragging right now because I completed my whatever.
Hey, the
number,
time for chit chat ended at the top of the show.
My whatever
that's right. Can we talk
number
about Disney?
Run
and
Disney race. I believe Run Disney is part of Disney. Whether or not you want to acknowledge it, it is part of Disney.
But how were you? Because you did sustain an injury just before that I gave you a little praise for.
It's one of those things with training. I can't really do that, but with race days, especially Run Disney race days, something like comes over my body where I'm like, I've got to push it. And in this situation, Kylie threatened me before the race started, saying, like, I've been training, so I'm going to go without you if you're really like dragging behind and you're holding me back. And
you're such a good
husband. I said that's okay. And then it ended up being where I like blew past her, and I didn't
remember that time you said you'd leave me for dead.
Yeah. There's actually one of my favorite photos is I'm on the phone running, calling her as I'm going under between Celebration Gardens and like heading towards Cosmic Rewind. I'm on the phone with her saying like, I'm gonna be finishing real soon here. How far behind me are you? But that's
you're the worst. That's fine.
It's because the Imagination bathrooms didn't stop at them because they were super backed up.
Oh, good soundtrack in there. Just saying.
But I don't know. I do like those bathrooms, but in terms of the ride, I feel like I can't have any hopes for this attraction changing at any point in the future here. Like I feel like at this point, when they announce a replacement for Journey into Imagination, I'm actually okay if it is just completely different. Like all the rumors back in the day of it being Inside Out and taking away Figment and Dreamfinder, I'm okay with that. I don't necessarily need it because I know like some of the rumors with it are like, oh, if we bring back Dreamfinder, they can't go back to the original configuration of the ride because they changed the track when they started messing around with it back in the late 90s. So you're never going to recapture the exact same magic. It's always going to be a condensed version. So why not just try something different?
Also, not to be rude, I don't think people are going to be booking vacations based on bringing back that retro ride. I mean, they've done that before. They brought back, my God.
Orange Bird?
No, Michael Jackson's show was called
Captain EO.
Captain EO when he passed away, which took over. I believe it was Honey I Shrunk the Kids, then went to Captain EO, and then became the Pixar shorts, which I wish they would have just left Captain EO because at this point those Pixar shorts are just a waste of space. I mean, it's just an area to go sit. But they've done it before, but it's one of those where it was an easy thing to do, and turning this attraction back into something like that. I don't know, and I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody's like, classic attractions, but I've been going since I was a kid. I don't remember that ride at all, and I know there's a certain amount of fandom that is devoted to that, but I think we've kind of learned from Disney, especially in the last couple of years, is that it's onward and forward. I mean, and even with Walt Disney, it was always upward, onward, forward. It's not backwards. But in that same vein, it would be unfortunate when we've said how much land there is, why we got to take away and not add.
I think that they...
But I don't like that ride, just so we're clear. I hate it.
Well, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's Figment's world, and we're just living in it because every festival, every special event at Epcot, who's it hosted by? It's hosted by Figment, and they sell a ton of that merchandise. So somebody loves Figment. Somebody's paying a lot of money, and I think Disney's been, like, testing the waters, like, tell us how much you love Figment. How many dollars do you love Figment?
I disagree. I think at this point, they know that they can slap Figment on merchandise and it's still going to sell. And it's the same thing as with Orange Bird. Where's Orange Bird's attraction at? Where's the character meet and greet?
Have you heard of the state of Florida?
So But I mean, to
Sing the
that
song.
they keep slapping. Orange Bird has become a merchandise mascot more than anything else. They can do the exact same thing.
But he
with
always
Figment.
was. He always was.
There used to
and
be
Figment was an attraction.
There used to be a meet and greet character
That's not an
though
attraction.
with the Orange Bird back in the day. I know it's not an attraction, but I'm just saying they can still keep Figment alive as long as they are putting him
as
on
long as we
merchandise.
have imagination.
No, as long as they put him on merchandise. And if they remove the attraction, people are then going to be even more hungry and be like, oh, well, we have to buy the merch because that's all we have left of them. And if we stop buying the merch, then we're not going to get anything Figment anymore. And it's because Disney and Figment apparently are powerful drugs that pull people in. And to Rhino's question, no, Figment will not pull in non-Disney fans or kind of casual Disney fans to decide to book a vacation.
Wasn't Seth Rogen making a movie about it or no? Did I make
Yes,
that? Was
yeah,
that
you're right.
Well, let's hold on with
Hey.
wording. It will convince people to come back to Disney that are fans of the character and fans of Disney, and they're already coming back anyways,
Right.
unless they're one of
They're
the
the annual
people
pass
that are
holders.
pissed off at this point, saying, you know, it's not my Disney anymore, woke Disney, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Seth Rogen was developing a movie for Disney based on Figment. And we need to make that very clear because I know people will use that as an excuse. Development means they could sit down, they could write a pitch, they could write the full script, and they could look
Right.
at it and say, this is garbage. We are moving on for it. So development is not making a movie. Making a movie is going through the whole process, casting and getting it actually recorded. Otherwise, we could sit here and say, well, they're still making a TV show for Big Thunder Mountain, or they're making a Space Mountain movie, or all the movies that have been pitched that are all in development. Development is tricky, and I almost wish they wouldn't even announce this stuff because sometimes I feel like it's just a litmus test for do people actually want to see this? And
I
if
do.
it's
Seth
not all
Rogen?
over.
Oh yeah, I'm like, will he be Dreamfinder? That sounds amazing to me.
I think
and I'm
it's
not. Listen,
his production company.
Okay, but maybe he will be in it. But I just want to say for the record, I'm not even a Figment fan. But I don't know. It could be happening. Like, why wouldn't they do? It's a new attraction, but it gives like pays tribute to maybe there's like a cameo of Dreamfinder. You know,
Like I
it's
said,
possible.
I'm not against it. I just at this point I try something different.
Why don't we-
If they're not going to actually truly invest and make something that is next generation, I don't want them to just go back to the original attraction and a condensed version of that. Do something different. Make it pay respect to the character and make a ride out of it if you want to. Don't just go backwards for the sake of being nostalgic. And
Yeah.
if not, just do something different. Choose
Okay.
other characters. Maybe we will like Inside Out too, and we're clamoring for that attraction, even though at this point now it should belong in Hollywood studios. But I digress. I'm sorry. That's all
Very
I
passionate.
Please excuse me here while I say this real quick. That's all I have to say about that.
You said a hungry joke, and I was waiting to say the hungry Janilda. But that was about
so
2.5
hungry.
minutes ago.
I
So it's no
can't
longer
say anything else because that's all I have to say about that.
It's no longer relevant. Okay, first up. No, why did I say first up? Sorry.
Second.
Yeah, second up. Third up. 7 up. Okay. Taking X by storm, and not the Incredible X-Men character, but a different area of the Marvel Universe. A video was posted where the walls had just come up in the main pre-show for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, and someone opened one of the doors, causing many of the guests to bail on the pre-show. Now, this is the question. Are Disney's pre-shows too long and pointless in this day and age of short attention spans, or is this just bad guest etiquette? Now, I don't think they're too long because I feel like let's take a look at Rise of the Resistance. You could argue there's a lot of pre-shows in that, but they feel like they're a part of the attraction and they're feeding that story through. And there isn't a door you just can push open. So I think it's maybe the cast member needs to be stationed over there or something like that. And it's just people who have ridden the ride multiple times now are just like, I just want to move past this. And that's not really how it works, because you're going to get to the ride in the same amount of time whether you watch the pre-show or you don't watch the pre-show, because guess what? Everybody still has to go through that same room.
That's a good point. I mean, that pre-show, every time I'm like, okay, we got it. Like, once you see the reveal, I don't know, it does go on for a long time. But I also think if I had to guess, that was probably a way of like, okay, you can either stand in a line with kickbacks or we can put you all in this big room and give you some sort
Entertain
of
you.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I get the thought process there. I do think it's bad guest behavior. You know, you shouldn't be doing that. Would I have been tempted? Yes, I would have. Would I have opened the door? No, I wouldn't have. But
I will be honest.
It was
I
funny.
was guilty of doing this back in the day.
You bad.
Yeah, I did it I would do it at Dinosaur, and I even did it at Test Track.
There's
at one
there's
point
no
in
door
time.
at Dinosaur.
I think there used to be. Way
Or maybe
back
there
in the
is.
day.
Maybe there's a door. I'm sorry.
No,
maybe there
I'm
is.
pretty
I
sure
thought it was
there is.
open now.
Well,
But you're right. You're right. You're right.
They
I'm sorry.
they started leaving it open, I think, for one period of time.
Yeah,
I do
I think-
remember
especially
that. Maybe
around
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will be honest too. I have not done Dinosaur in a long time because I
Same.
just
I
don't.
kind of love it.
I
But
love I love Dinosaur. It's
Seems
just
I've arrived just in time
I'm-
to correct a
Not
little
our dino.
misstatement.
I having a toddler has changed how I experience attractions, and
Oh, I'm going to strap that toddler into that attraction.
Right?
Don't you worry.
I don't think he's
Scare
going to
him
be
straight.
able to. Here's the bigger issue, and that's that I now actually have a complete different perspective on Navi River Journey after riding it with a toddler.
Oh, did he
And
love it?
He freaking loved
yep.
it. It was like nonstop glued, jaw dropped, like especially like all the like lily
and
pads or
stuff.
whatever
Yeah.
on the frogs looking
Yeah.
like. You could tell in his eyes that he totally believed it. Just
that's
pointing
so
at
cool.
everything all around. Only thing he didn't like, the shaman.
Well, I mean, yeah.
It scared the bejesus
Yeah, she's
out of
like-
me.
No way.
Yeah. She's
Yeah,
very big.
I was like, hey, look, Rory, look at the shaman.
Nope.
And he's just like, no.
She will steal
No.
my soul.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, shoot. You know, we waited like 25, 30 minutes for that attraction.
And you
I'm
do
like,
it
as an
again.
adult, I do think that it's too short and I hate it. But now experiencing it like that, I'm like,
That's what it
crap,
does to
I
you.
would do it in a heartbeat again to make him happy.
Mm-hmm.
But with Dinosaur, I'd skip it back in the day. There was pre-shows that if you could just walk through, it would, because it's like,
Yeah, I get it.
sometimes you get in the excitement of you're like, I want to get on the ride. And
Yeah, for sure.
If you've seen it a million times, yeah, you get in that mode where you're like, I don't need to see the same thing anymore. But I don't know, something about like Guardians, where, as Hannah pointed out, it's you could be waiting in down and backs, or you could be in that pre-show.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the management of that line post that final pre-show is a nightmare.
Yes,
and most
it
of the
is.
time you're just bottlenecking anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like, please let the pre-show do what it's supposed to be to
Yeah.
actually accomplish.
So that the door opens and you can walk up and merge
Yeah.
and down the
Yes.
thing. Yeah, because the whole idea is you're not really supposed to be hanging out in that other room.
Exactly.
Or the final hallway. Or whatever.
No, you're supposed to go further up, and I feel like they never even mastered that. But that's
No.
also too, like, if you want to keep the line moving, you have to put enough people in the pre-shows so that way people feel like the line is moving. It's a no-win scenario with it, but I also wish if they would have just got animatronics for this pre-show, like everyone expected it to be, it would
yeah.
you would not get a single person wanting to leave that,
Yeah, give us
because
a
it would be
slow
one of the
rocket.
coolest parts.
I was thinking that the tough part is that it's not really that pre-show I have a problem with. It's the Terry Crews one before that. I mean, I know he's in that
yeah.
one, and it's the Terra Nova Prime, and I get that one's really kind of laying the groundwork about what we're about to step into the next room for. But it feels like that should all just have been one room. Like it should
Yeah, I
have
know what
just
you
been
mean.
one
Yeah.
part.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of like it's like disarming a little bit.
Yeah.
But and it's hard because you're like, well, the next part's the cool part. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
like I think the walls going up is really cool. But
My other solution, make an option to skip the pre-shows, but the catch is you wait in a side queue, and it's like waiting in a standby again, where the pre-show is the fast pass and then the standby is the other side. It's very complicated. It would never work, but it would punish people into always wanting to do
Or
the
single
pre-shows.
riders that way a lot of
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Like there was a single rider option. You know, you would just bypass that. But I feel like actually now I think about it, Disney, this has kind of been like a trend for them recently, because Flight of Passage is the same way. Like you have like 2 antechambers, let's just call them. You know, like you go into one room, do a pre-show, go into the next room, pre-show, and then you get to ride it.
I think if we can all agree, though, if you wanted to skip one pre-show, it would be Flight of Passage, and that's not
And,
even for the way he
Fly.
talked.
I am
It's
that guy. Sorry.
Yeah, it has nothing to deal with him. I think they're also bad setups. It's like, okay, in one pre-show room, we're going to have 2 lines with people in the front and back. And I always am like embarrassed when I go in because they always put me in the front side. And then I'm like, I'm blocking everyone behind me. No one can see. And then you get in the next room and it's like, okay, now we have 2 lines that go, if you're at the front, you see the screen well. But if you're all the way in the back, you're not seeing anything anyways.
Yeah.
It wasn't well thought
That
of.
selfish tall man.
I think there's definitely some sort of like psychological element to it too, where it's like, especially with the not the River Journey, the Flight of Passage, is like, it's like you've been waiting for however long, probably 2 hours,
Yes.
and you get in this room. And it's like trying to calm you down and not hype you up, especially with the second room. And you're just like, oh my God, I'm going to fall asleep now. And then you're about to do this like super exciting attraction. So I feel like it's got this weird dichotomy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on to another thing. So lastly, we have a hot take opinion article that was posted on Theme Park Insider asking if Disney needs new rules for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, suggesting Disney scan tickets before assigning roles for the various positions, and pilots can only be guests 10 years and older on an adult ticket, and children can only be gunners or engineers. What do we think? I will say, I feel like if I am going on and there is a child like grouped in with me, 9 times out of 10, and maybe even 9.5 times out of 10, they're made the pilot because it's always the
Who can't steer the ship.
Yeah,
And I've been in with kids who were like, I've been in with a kid once who must have ridden it like 10 times that day or something, and he was like, excellent.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often.
Here's
but when
the
it does, you can tell because they'll be dressed up, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, this
I'm
kid
okay with this
knows.
kid driving.
I trust kids almost inherently more because I feel like anymore they grow up with video games, which is what I did. I mean, I literally would sit on my old compact Presario playing Microsoft Flight Simulator. Like I trained during my childhood to one day pilot a fake video game attraction at a Disney park. And I just, I always love flying games and I know they're out there. And I don't know if every adult also did the same thing. So really, it's unfair to say like, oh, adults can't do it and little kids can't do it. It's just one of those things. I like it. You're always going to just leave it up to chance. And there's nothing worse than a cocky adult who gets in like, I'm going to do so great. And then they don't. Like those controls are so sensitive that if you see a person grab the entire joystick right away, the ride controls, you can already tell, like, oh, no, they're going in heavy-handed. These things, like, you should be, Rhino, don't be gross here. You should be gripping the stick closer to the base where you have a little bit more sensitive control with it. And that has always been
me twice.
That has always been my methodology with it, and I hate having to say it, but that's the way you like the higher up you hold it on the controls. The higher up you hold it on the controls, the least control you have on it.
Men should be pilots. It's what I'm hearing through your conversation. I
think anyone can be a pilot, but I think you have to get control.
Just not women. I'm just kidding.
I'm pretty sure anyone can be a pilot. It's just they have to learn the controls of the stick.
I prefer male pilots, whereas I think you exclusively prefer female pilots, and who knows? Anyway.
After that conversation, I just don't know.
No, but I do think there should be a judgment call maybe on like the cast member. I think it's really just like feeling out the room. God, I hate these terms I've chosen to use. But like feeling out it's up to, and I'm not, maybe it's not up to the cast member. I don't know. It's just about the vibe, I guess, is like, okay, can you tell, maybe this kid is a little lost and doesn't understand. So like pushing bright colored buttons seems the best thing for him. But then maybe you can see it where the kid's like, oh, I'm in this Millennium Falcon. And you're like, okay, this kid's going to pilot, And then also it's like, hey, maybe don't make a 4-year-old a pilot. Like, I don't know how many times I've had it where the kid can't even reach. And that has happened. And I was just like, what? Why would they do this? Like,
or just have like a methodology with it where it's like after you crash 20 times, it engages autopilot right away.
Okay.
And then
Kinda
it's
like that.
well, you lost control of the ship. We can't have any more damage done to it. We've got to move into that. But I know I think listen, I think the article was written by the author because literally said at the beginning of it, like, this is supposed to be hot takes to throw out
Yeah.
there. So I know it was meant for engagement and discussion, and that's exactly what the internet got out of us. It got out of it as well as us. But they would get nothing but bad feedback if they ever scanned tickets and said, well, nope, your kid's a child.
Yeah.
They can't play this video game attraction in the seat that you want them to.
Can I throw something out there
awful.
really quick?
Ban all children.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
especially
I'm just
mine,
kidding. Obviously, I don't feel that way.
He's 2, and it's a lot. But so I love Star Wars, and we frequently go to studios to just kind of soak in Star Wars. And there is nothing for little kids to do. There's no attractions, and so that would be another barrier. Like, it's such a bummer because
Alien
like
swirling saucers. Heard of it?
yeah, but there's
kidding.
not.
I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
and
I'm
we
just
love
kidding.
that one.
Man, if only there was like a stage somewhere in Disney's Hollywood studios,
Right.
where kids could
was like
like
a
stand
musical.
up with a lightsaber.
They don't do it
and, like-
anymore, right?
No,
No.
they don't. That's,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
that's what I'm saying. And it's
all
just sitting there
though.
empty.
That
would
was
be
like
great.
a cool experience for
I
kids.
got joy pre-kids watching that. Like, it was fun to see, So, anyways, that would be a bummer for me. I'd be like, well, there's one more thing my kid can't do, and he likes Star Wars. He says Grogu more than he says Mama. So
It's also weird that hasn't come back, because that's definitely, at this point, it's like I don't know what restriction.
yeah, I'm
would
sure
be
it's
on
just
that.
a
So,
money thing.
Anyway, well,
Yeah.
well,
You could always just make your kid have stilts, and then he can be
I've been tempted, y'all.
Forrest
mega
Gump.
baby.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not thinking of stilts. I was thinking of leg braces. I'm sorry. That's what I meant. I was like, why
no.
would she do that?
And that's all I have to say about that.
There we go. Oh, she died on a Tuesday. So leaving the hot take train and moving on to the news. Look out! Oh, I see what you did there. Look out! We've got some Smellephants on parade over at the Storybook Circus in the Magic Kingdom. Last week, a Smellephant was placed in the land as part of the brand new interactive search and sniff experience that is apparently perfect for noses of all ages. This experience is brought to you by Cyndi. Here's the story. When entering Storybook Circus, guests will stumble upon a casting call posted by Timothy Q. Mouse, seeking out a whiff-sistant. God, I hate words. To join Dumbo's newest act. At the ticket booth in front of the Big Top Souvenirs, a cast member will provide guests with an illustrated map of the land and a sticker sheet to guide them in their first task as a whiff-sistant. And the task is simple. Find all 8 Smellephant statues scattered around Storybook Circus using the stickers and map to track their progress. The first elephant is themed after popcorn, with a popcorn top and pants that appear to be made of a popcorn box. And if the smell of popcorn doesn't excite you enough, there'll also be scents like churro, cotton candy, and my absolute favorite smell, more. Disney says this is a complimentary and voluntary experience, as if there was another
Voluntary?
option. Like you had to do it in order to experience Storybook Circus or something. But
great.
could be worse. The elephants could smell like real elephants. So I'd rather the kind that smelled like popcorn and candy. So I think this is such a weird thing
So
to have thrown
bizarre.
in. But it is like... it's one of those where it doesn't hurt anything, and it's just a fun
Kids like
activity for
stickers,
kids. Yeah.
so
oh,
there you go.
I was a sticker fiend when I was a kid.
You have the little notebook.
I covered the lunchbox in it.
Yeah.
Everything. I'd ruin clothes all the
I
time
see,
because I could
and
put
now
stickers on them.
laptops.
You what?
And now a laptop.
Yeah, all over my laptop.
That's right. They do look good.
For my laboratory.
I feel like the name was off. Like, I know it's
The whiff-sistant?
Smellephants.
It's a stretch.
The smelly, like, why not the Smellephants? I like that a little bit more.
Smellephant, I'm fine with. It's whiff-sistant. Why isn't it?
Yeah, I don't even know if I can say that.
I also want to be like,
Whiff-sistant.
should we start saying that? Your kids, you two, I don't have them, take dumps in their clothes all the time. And are you their whiff-sistant?
Yes, actually, that is.
So,
accurate.
like,
I
you know
was,
what I mean?
I was the assistant this morning before going to daycare, actually, and
Sorry to be crass,
I
but-
did think about, like, my kid's getting older. I gotta quit sniffing his diaper. That's weird. Anyways, yeah. So maybe
14 years old, be like, did you make a fluff?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe a elephant that smells like popcorn isn't so bad. But this is bizarre to me. Also, I know I mentioned it before. I don't quite understand Scentsy. I know it's going to offend people, but
Is this a rude thing to say? So when it said sponsored by Scentsy, and I was like, oh, so it'll smell for the first 12 hours, and then we'll never smell it again?
oh,
yeah. No. I mean,
Sorry,
you're wrong.
Sensi.
Sorry, I was wrong. Rhino brought the fire today because that was a sick burn.
Yeah.
El Diablo.
Yeah.
Tacos.
Hey, Hannah
Always
was
on
here
my
before
mind.
the show started talking about that multi-level marketing company.
Oh
Sponsor.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, sorry, Charlie. Is what it is. So
Charlie Puth? Who are you talking about?
maybe.
I think Sorry Charlie was a show on Disney Channel.
Oh,
for
yeah, with the
amount
woman
of
from
time.
Will and Grace, yeah.
What? I don't
Ellen
remember
from
that
Will and
one.
Grace
I
was
don't
the mom
think-
on Sorry.
So
Sorry,
I don't
Charlie?
think that's
Good
what she
luck,
meant.
Charlie, not sorry, Charlie.
That's it.
Good luck, Charlie. Yes, yeah, that's true. The little kid, and she's the meme now. She's the one. The meme was like that.
I don't
I'm
know.
talking about little blonde girl with pigtails.
No, girl.
I love a good MLM. I mean, it worked. What was the what were the leggings for a little bit? But then-
Lulu Rowe, and there's a show about it now.
Yeah, ended
Yeah,
in
it's pretty
tragedy.
interesting.
Yeah, they're good, interesting.
Yeah,
But
all right.
Smellephants, that's what I'm gonna call
Actually,
them.
I'm going to Magic Kingdom tomorrow, so I might try it out.
Yeah.
I'll report back.
I don't care. So let's move on. Moving
I
on to
care
the
so
breaking
much.
news of the morn. Food and Wine is coming back to Epcot, but later than you might expect. So get this. The start of this year's event will be August 29th. It's competing for the Halloween season, apparently. And it will run through November 23rd, meaning it's starting a month later than normal and getting back to what it used to be in the past, which I don't think is a bad thing.
No.
Disney is reporting the event will include merchandise, food, and you guessed it, wine. Disney also confirmed Communicore Hall. Just Communicore Hall. I don't know why I had to add H. Communicore Hall will be adding exciting, fresh elements to the festival.
That's cool. Also,
Communicore
Flower and
Hall's the
Garden,
new building, right?
Yeah, that hasn't
okay.
opened yet. Flower and Garden ends earlier this year to line up with this. So, I think last year it ended in July, early July, and then Food and Wine started end of July. So.
Yeah, I just want it to get back to the old days of September and late August was when Food and Wine started, which is ultimately the worst time of the year in
Yes.
Florida.
Yes,
It
so
is
hot.
the
So hot, so
absolute
rainy.
hottest,
Humid.
and just miserable. But at the same time too, it felt like. I never liked it going into the summer. It just felt like
Yeah.
and I know it also helped pull crowds into the summer, and their summer is still soft, so they need all the help they can get. Which that's why it's wild that it's not starting in the summer. But I don't want an Epcot with festivals all the time.
Yeah.
and I'm happy that it feels like it's starting to go back to normal a little bit in that
Yeah.
way. But
I wonder if they're going to lean into the Communicore stuff opening the summer. If they're going to come up with not a festival, but special offerings for summer to kind of pad the summer season.
I don't know. I was going to say, that's are they going to create a new festival? I mean, obviously not. I feel like we're too
No.
late into it, but.
But just something.
I mean, they're giving us
snacks.
the Encanto
show.
show, so
Yeah.
that's entertainment, and there's the characters will be meeting there, and they want to get that wine serving there too. So I feel I'm happy that is going to get a little bit of time to shine before the next festival rolls along, and it'll give them a chance to really get their legs under them as then it rolls into Food and Wine. That space is going to be utilized for Food and Wine, so
that's
I'd
cool.
rather them figure it out in the summertime with less happening, so that way when it is utilized with a festival in a big way, they can be like, okay, we know how to use all of this. Perfect.
Yeah.
It could also be a test to really be like, well, what does the summer look like without the festivals again? Now that we've had them for, 2 years or whatever, that they've been as long as they have.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and
Like,
if,
will it be like we can't do this anymore because not enough people go to that park?
yeah, and if the festivals aren't driving traffic in the summer anymore, what's the point of doing it? Because I feel like obviously they have them as part of the staff, their college program, so I feel like they're going to find a place for most of the people who work Food and Wine anyways. But then you have you are talking about a lot of extra labor that goes into being able to run the festivals, a lot of extra food costs that I feel like some days when you walk by and you see a booth with little to no line, you're like, they're wasting all that food that they have to have constantly prepped for it. So maybe it ends up being a way that they save money because it's not pulling people in.
That's true.
And you're overspending on something that's just not hitting people as hard as it used to. Go back to making them feel like a limited time thing, so that way
Feel a little
you
more special.
drive people to want to go to them.
Yeah. What do you guys think they'll use Communicore for? Like, do you think they'll bring back like the demonstrations and that kind of stuff?
If they were smart, I think that's what they should do, because that's the first thing I see when people are complaining about the festival. It's what happened. It's a food and wine festival. It's not necessarily about just eating or drinking. It's also about the process of cooking and seeing the demonstrations. And while that was never something that necessarily interested me, because I have Food Network and I can just watch it at home, I also understand that for a lot of people that was the draw.
I'm running races.
Well,
I'm not. I'm okay at cooking.
Okay.
And eating.
Well, I mean, I think offering the things that were inside of the Discovery, what was that building?
Wonders of Life.
Wonders of Life.
Oh, yeah.
I think offering those sort of things back again in this outdoor area, I think it'll give a lot of life to that part of the park, which I'm looking forward to seeing. So, anyway, moving on. You've seen us dine at some of the finest restaurants around Walt Disney World, from Mama Melrose's to Tony's Town Square Restaurant. One you haven't seen us eat at is Victoria and Albert's, and you'll most likely never see it eat there, because given that we are just filthy, filthy humans, just complete unclassy people. I'm just joking, but not really. Actually, we won't be able to eat there because last week, Victoria and Albert's received its first Michelin star ever, which is also Disney's first Michelin star restaurant, and that's a big deal, a huge accomplishment. In fact, it's the first and only restaurant owned and operated by a United States theme park destination to hold a Michelin star. Hopefully the restaurant has enough strength to hold on to that star. You know what's wild to me about this? I always forget that the Michelin Tire Company is the people who are like, you're like, you know who's going to give me the best place to go eat? The people who make the tires.
And I hope that mascot shows up. And he did, like Santa Claus, to deliver their star. So, yeah. No, it's a big deal. It's very cool. And maybe it'll encourage Disney to have more restaurants on the level of Victoria and Albert's. I don't know. I mean, it's wild to me, like, I've never been, but I booked it one time because it's so hard to book.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the allure, is that it was like, oh, I got a reservation. Then, you start doing the math on it. And for my tax bracket, I was like, I'd rather, do a staycation, or you could almost go on a cruise if you did the wine pairing or whatever. So, but no, I think it's cool. It's a big win for Disney.
Listen, I'm okay overspending on food every now and then.
Right.
Like, I was like, I'm going to Disneyland in a couple days, and on Thursday, after I'm finished with my events that I have for the reason I'm out there, I'm like, there's two options. I can just go off property and go to like my favorite breweries and such. That's probably the cheapest option. Then the next option is I can go to Star Wars night, because that hasn't sold out yet, but I'm not like, it's Star Wars night, but I've never really enjoyed Disneyland special events, so I'm not sure that I'll enjoy this one. And it's $170, unless someone with a magic key buys me a cheaper ticket, but I would never ask that. And then my third option is I could sit down and do one of my favorite pastimes and have a really nice steak and some wine and cocktails at Napa Rose.
Yeah,
and
sounds like a good time.
I'm like, that's for me, and that's not getting anywhere near the price of Victoria and Albert's. But I'm with food, for some reason, I can actually I can justify it, because it's not it's not a once every year thing. It's like when I go to Victoria and Albert's, finally, it will be for a massive celebration that will be a once in my
big
lifetime
anniversary,
experience.
Retirement,
exactly, something like that. So I'm very, very happy for it. I would love to see Disney make a push to get more restaurants on the same level as Victoria and Albert's, and then that would also, as you said, that might ease up reservations a little bit more if there's more restaurants that people are vying for. I don't know what restaurant could actually make an attempt to get at that. It feels like there's nothing really that could come close.
What about like Enchante or Remy or
What's
you know.
Enchanté?
Like
the one
on
upstairs?
the cruise line?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
Can
just
that
'cause that's-
happen? Can they get can you
I
get a
don't
Michelin
know.
star at
I'm
sea?
throwing
I
out
don't know
there.
the answer.
Actually,
Isn't
I don't
one
know,
of the
yeah.
chefs from
Don't you have to be able to drive there?
Yeah, with, well,
yeah,
how
with
do
your
the tires come
tires.
into play?
Your tires. How will the Michelin man get there? Yeah, but isn't it one of the chefs from Victoria and Albert's did one of the menus
On the
at
Wish,
Remy?
I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe Enchanté too. I don't know. Anyways, but I
Celebrity
think of
chefs.
those. You know,
No,
those restaurants are.
That would be really cool if they tried to do that, where they're like, hey, you know what? A Michelin star at sea, but I think, isn't it, there's something in the rules where they have to be able to visit it at least like 5 or 6
sure,
times a
yeah.
year. I think I read something about it where people were like, you have to visit so often, and that's why they also Alberts, because they're like, there's no way you could get into it, the amount of times that they have to judge whether or not it should be a Michelin star restaurant. But that's also me being an awful person on the internet who just reads what other people have to say rather than researching it all on my own.
I feel that. The Michelin star restaurants have a poll because, like, one time we tried to go to one out in Napa, and like we couldn't, like, I couldn't get a reservation for months and months. Like, it just didn't happen. So
Yep.
I think they're just hard to get into.
Hey, people, they're swayed. They feel like they're
Yeah.
missing out if they don't go to that Tiger rated
right.
restaurant.
Just going down
Can
Radiator
a cruise
Springs.
restaurant receive a Michelin
Yeah.
star? While cruise
That would be
eateries
cool.
are still yet to receive any stars from the legendary Tire King, many world-renowned chefs are bringing their skills on board and partnering with top cruise lines to offer elevated fine dining experiences to guests. That is March 2024. To get a
Is it
Michelin
like
star.
the Oscars? Like, we have to campaign for it, you know? Like, we've got to, maybe.
At this point, I'm waiting for someone else to come up with their own award system, like the Green Giant. Like, I want to see
yeah.
that award system, like crispiest vegetables.
Best casserole.
That would be my awards. Martini Mom's casserole.
All right,
award.
so how to get a Michelin star. Here are the 5 criteria for restaurateurs. High quality ingredients, mastery of culinary techniques, how the chef's personality is showcased in the food, value for money, and consistency of the food and the dining experience.
I could apply all those to a casserole.
So it
Yeah, I'm pretty
does-
sure I own
it's
a Michelin star. No.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Are you going to start surveys with people as they enter the house?
Everyone has told me I'm master of my domain.
Well, you have to invite us over 5 times so we can be sure those.
What is that? Gripping the stick on the Millennium Falcon, Smuggler's Run?
Oh, no.
If the juice is worth the squeeze, that's what you got to do.
The juice is loose. I've seen the Beetlejuice trailer.
Not anymore.
Anymore. Wrong juice. But okay.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of juice, speaking of Big Daddy, moving on to Dookie's Dookie Chase's.
Go slow with this one.
Dookie Chase's restaurant in New Orleans is not a Michelin star restaurant, but hey, some of the best restaurants aren't. And it is important, though, because Chef Leah Chase married into the Chase family back in the 40s and helped make the family-run restaurant a staple of the Big Easy, attracting celebrities and politicians like Beyonce, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. Chef Leah Chase is one of the inspirations for Princess Tiana, and her family has continued to be important for Walt Disney Imagineering as they bring Tiana's Bayou adventure to life. Last week, Disney announced that Leah's daughter, Stella, has been made an honorary Imagineer for her involvement in the new attraction, and that the Chase family will be among the first to ride Tiana's Bayou adventure. Not only that, but one of Leah's daughters, Leah Chase Jr., will be heard in the queue covering the Louis Armstrong song, Do You Know What It Means to Miss New Orleans?
Oh.
Now, who doesn't love a good, heartwarming story?
I love everything about this. And it gives
I
me
do
hope,
too.
too, that this is like they're really going to infuse some of that in the attraction. So I think it's cool.
I think, yeah, I also, like, I'm not sure. It's like that same sort of level of, like, I love the story about the fact that it's the original Madame Leota's daughter.
Yes.
Is the woman who is lip syncing to her mother's voice in the ball because they, like, wanted to upgrade the projections and stuff. Like, I love when Disney sort of goes back to, like, the family who was involved, or, like it doesn't, not that it really happens that often, but it is kind of that nice, like, infusion of the company's values into their actual product, which I like.
I just wish they could like sponsor a restaurant. That would be like, just give me. I mean, I know they probably don't want to share all their recipes, but I feel like Disney's yet to have like a stellar gumbo. And
Have you eaten at this restaurant?
Yes, actually, I have. It's been a long time.
Have you eaten at this restaurant when you guys go?
I have eaten at this
What
restaurant
did you get
because
there?
they specifically took us there. It was like a 5-course tasting menu,
Okay.
full with complimentary mint juleps the entire night.
Oh, my style. You had the vapors.
It was a good
And not
time.
those Disneyland ones.
Yeah, it was like it was one of those nights that like Disney definitely went all out. But when they shut down the restaurant for our group, and so like. They never do that. So it was one of those things where I hated seeing people kept walking into the restaurant because it's their traditions.
Right.
And they're like, that's where they love eating. And
Yeah.
they're like, they kept getting turned away. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate
Yeah.
that we're
All while you're
given
drinking
this
your-
special treatment as I'm like gulping down my 4th mint julep.
So
and
sad for
then they're like,
you.
are you ready to move on to the wine pairings? I'm like, oh my.
Dang.
You know what?
Welcome, New Orleans.
I can do both at the same time. The food was phenomenal. We got to hear Stella talk
That's cool.
during the, and it's like, you know, I don't want to like go on too long about it because I did that in my coverage from that trip that I was lucky enough to go on.
Which you can watch on this channel as well.
Absolutely, you can go back and watch
We
it if you're
should.
interested in. But I was not super familiar with New Orleans, as I talked about in that, and so I know the culture of New Orleans, but I didn't understand necessarily the importance of food outside of the stereotypes that we all know it. And seeing how like food brings together the community in a complete different way, and it's altering. And so it like having the chance to eat there, getting to hear the stories behind the restaurant, knowing that her mother was one of the inspirations for Tiana, it just added so much depth. And the fact that Imagineers are constantly like, they want to make this attraction as great as it can possibly be, and so they are trying to bring the values that you will find in the city and that sense of community that you find through food and have that translate in. I think that's just it's awesome how they're doing it. But also, maybe I'm a shill for this ride, and I haven't had the chance to even do it yet. But everything about it's just getting more and more exciting. You know, it's we don't have anything to play with it, but the latest update in the past couple days, people have been hearing during the days, Willis and Tiana, their voices already coming from the attraction now, which it's like this thing is getting close, and every little bit that unveils itself about it is like it's another level of excitement for it. But again,
sure.
I'm probably just shilling for it.
I don't know. Yeah, I would like some food, and then I'm hoping for some great merch. But yeah, I'm very excited for the attraction.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it sooner than later. We'll talk about that on another day. But we're gonna move over. We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about my lover on the side, Disneyland. I love Disneyland. So I love Disneyland. The
that's a
resort
rumor.
is bringing back 2 guided tours, including the Cultivating the Magic guided tour and the Disneyland Railroad guided tour. Guests can learn
Where's
more
your
about
whistle?
what.
You were
Where's your
supposed to cue the
whistle?
whistle. Cue the whistle.
No, there's no cue in my script about a whistle, but you're right. I
Whistle.
should have. Hold on. Strike that. Reverse it. Here we go.
I swear I wrote cue the whistle.
No, that's after this. There's a cue the whistle on the outro. So
Oh.
you've blown the surprise for everyone.
Sorry.
But the resort, again, is bringing back 2 guided tours, including the Cultivating the Magic guided tour and the Disneyland Railroad guided tour.
Oh, yeah.
Guests can learn more about how the plants and flowers at the Disney Square to the exotic plants guests will encounter on Jungle Cruise in the Cultivating the Magic tour. The Disneyland Railroad guided tour takes guests on a journey to learn about Walt Disney's passion for trains and how it shaped the Disneyland Resort. Guests will also get to climb aboard Disneyland Railroad's special presidential car, the Lily Bell, which I have actually had the very lucky opportunity to have stepped foot in, and it is a really cool experience. It was one of those it was when the railroad was out of commission while they were building Galaxy's Edge, and the cast member, when I was up just looking at the train at the station in New Orleans Square, he was like, "Hey, He said, "Come over here. I want to show you this," and like brought me in
that's
there
cool.
in a less creepy way than I'm painting it. But it was a very cool experience. He gave me like a little ticket and everything.
Aw, that's awesome.
So reservations open online on April 30th for this, and tours will begin May 11th, 2024.
Yeah, the Lily Bell is one of the coolest experiences you can have at Disneyland. If you are a fan at all of the trains, that used to be a thing that like you never knew if it was going to be part of. In my case, how I got to experience it, an Adventures by Disney vacation. Like there was a couple times where they were able to take us on the Lily Bell, and then other times, I don't know if they thought it's like, oh, no one cares about this, but it always blew my mind. Like my first ABD that I was lucky enough to be on, like they took us back to the train yard, and we got to see all the trains and hear from some of the conductors, and it was so cool. And then it's like, you hear from the group like, yeah, it's okay. I'm like,
what?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Rhino yet at the time, but I was like, he would have loved that. And I know he would have loved that. And so then like they got rid of that. The next one we did, but still got to ride in the Lily Bell. And it's cool enough getting to do that, but it's literally, it is Disneyland history. For me, it is right up there with visiting Walt's apartment, going in the 21 Royal. It's just some of those things where it's like, if you're lucky enough to step foot in them, have that experience, it changes you as a Disney fan.
I've never been to I've never been in the Lily Bell or ridden in the Lily Bell. Like I've seen it, from the outside. So I kind of feel like I need to.
I don't think you can ride in
it.
I
think on the store you do.
Oh, well, I rode in it. I've never just walked in it. I've ridden in it.
Oh, I didn't know it was like on the tracks normally.
Yeah. Like when we were out there in August, like it was there.
Can somebody just like be like, can I wait and try and ride in that? Or do you have
I've
to
heard of like
it?
magic moments happening.
No.
Because I was going to say the setup for it is there's like chairs and tables and stuff.
I do. So the thing is, I think you can redeem your ticket that you have for it. I know they give those out as special. I think you. I forget how it works with that, but no, it's set up like an old-fashioned rail car where it's riding in a living room through it. So like you have the worst view of everything around because it's not like the sideways seating where you're seeing the best view of the Grand Canyon and as well as Primeval World. But it's one of those things like you're riding in history, so
that's cool.
It's worth it.
I might gotta do this.
Well, while we are talking about it, I just want to mention that last week, Anaheim City Council approved Disneyland Forward in a 7-0 vote. A second procedural vote will occur on May 7th, and if approved, the plan will require another 30 days for changes to take effect. So here's the bullet point recap, since we've kind of discussed this a bit recently. But Disneyland Forward is a multi-decade plan to update where types of development can go and how they can mix together space Disney already owns or operates on and around its Anaheim theme parks. So the plan calls for allowing theme park attractions alongside hotels on the west side of Disneyland Drive and theme park attractions alongside new shopping, dining, and entertainment to the southeast side on what is today the Toy Story parking area at Catella Avenue and Harbor Boulevard. Harbor Boulevard, not Harvard. Disneyland Forward also calls for expanded parking east and new parking northeast of the theme parks and potential footbridges across Harbor Boulevard and Disneyland Drive. The plan does not grant any new acreage, square footage, or hotel rooms to be developed. So it's just the three that we got. As part of a development agreement, Disney is required to invest a minimum of $1.9 billion in theme park, lodging, entertainment, shopping, and dining within 10 years. The development agreement also requires Disney to provide $30 million for affordable housing in Anaheim. I think that's great. With $15 million in the first year and $15 million in 5 years, $10 million for sewer improvements along Catella Avenue, and $8 million for Anaheim Parks within the first year. I think that like guaranteeing investment within the community is a great idea because, we've said it before. I love Disneyland. But the thing is, the second you step outside of the Disneyland gates, you are thrown right back into the reality of the world. And it does become very sad when there are, many unhoused people, on the streets out there and stuff. And it is one of those sort of things where, you are like, how can this multi-billion-dollar thing be
Yeah.
like right here, and then right here be like this? And I'm not saying like it's a bad neighborhood or anything like that, but it does kind of shine that like divide sort
Yeah.
of a little bit.
Yeah.
So this like sort of investment into the city of Anaheim, I think, is going to be really great.
Right.
It's like a very nice mutual
Yeah.
relationship that seems to be developing.
And
Yeah.
it's not necessarily just like because of the roads directly once you are outside of Disneyland's property. Like if you're staying at one of the off-property hotels, Good Neighbor hotels there, yeah, you're seeing that side of Anaheim, but you go 2 more blocks over, then you're seeing the actual residential side of Anaheim. That is what, they have to keep all of those neighbors happy. One of my cousins lived just blocks away from Disneyland for most of their life. And
That's wild.
I know. I was so jealous when they sold their house. I mean, obviously, I couldn't afford it, but I was like, maybe if they know how much I love Disneyland one
Yeah, they'll
day,
cut
they'll
me a
just
family discount.
leave me. Yeah, they'll cut me a family discount or leave me. Like one of my great aunts had a house in Buena Park,
Oh,
and I believe
wow.
they sold that for like $1 million.
Yeah, I'm
because she
sure.
built it in the 50s and then
Probably a
sold
cool
it in
house,
the
too.
90s, and just ridiculous. But yeah, it's there's so many people that are like so many people in Anaheim that are impacted by the resort that it's completely made their home values wonderful because of it, but
Sure.
it's still it's honestly it's going to be an inconvenience. It's the same thing being around the Disney World bubble. Like
Right.
it increases traffic. You don't always get a lot of benefits from it. The people that had houses for years and years and years before fireworks were regular, they all it's just or houses that were passed down from families and
Right.
generations. I know most of it was farms and such, but it's just one of those things where Disneyland has to think about the people around them. So it's nice that they are like they're thinking about them with this. But yeah, they also they have to. If it's got to be a scratch our backs and we'll scratch yours.
Well, and also, I mean, I'm assuming with the Disneyland project that's happening that they're going to have to hire additional cast members.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you're frontline in a theme park, like you're not making a ton of money. And obviously the cost of living out there, like I would argue, I mean, it's even more outrageous there, but cost of living's high here too, especially again, if you're working in the park. So, hopefully like this is something that cast members can take advantage of and, be able to utilize affordable housing and, stay working at Disney.
But I'm very excited for the benefits of it for Disneyland because you get to a point where you're like, well, the resort has been landlocked and there's only so much they can do. And besides, bulldozing over parking lots, and it's now like another reality that they are going to be able to add more without just subtracting and taking away and really utilize this space. Like they're not in a position that they can even do something like what Universal did in Orlando here with like saying, okay, well,
we'll secretly buy this stuff
We'll
up.
buy
Yeah.
back our property from down the road that we sold before at one point in time. Disneyland doesn't have that option at the same level.
Right.
So that I think it's super creative that how they're approaching this in terms of how they can grow. But beyond that too, someone pointed it out on social media last week. Like I remember back to when they said that they were going to add the new Marquee Hotel like right by Disneyland Hotel, and that was going to be it. And
Like I've
thank
forgotten about
goodness
that already.
we ditched that idea because this is going to be so much better for the park going experience.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
And ultimately, I think that's what they have to do, because this could easily turn Disneyland, even though it's only 2 parks, it could turn Disneyland from that 5-day max destination to all of a sudden of why don't you want to be here for a week?
Yeah.
You might want to be here longer than a week. Rhino, just buy an annual pass. Buy a magic key. Already did.
I have a magic key. Thank you.
Already did.
Top tier.
He's going back.
Yes.
Yep, going
Subtle
I'm
brag,
going back.
putting it to
Yeah,
good use.
I almost went down one tier, and I don't remember why I didn't, but it just
'Cause you worth
FOMO.
it.
Yeah, well, yeah, treat yourself. But I think that's actually going to do it for today.
Ooh, yes.
Cue the slide whistle was written right there. Just
Oh.
so we're clear.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I just want to remind everybody before we go about Dreams Unlimited Travel again. And when you're planning that Disneyland trip, come on, gang, you want to go out there.
I do.
Disney World, Disney Cruise Line, you can book with them and it costs you nothing extra. And you get the help of some amazing agents. It costs you nothing extra.com. If you are one of our Patreon supporters or interested in becoming one of our $5 and up Patreon supporters, stay tuned because we are going to be going live with our post show just after this. I'm sure there'll be some chat of some technical frustrations that were happening during the show and whatnot that aren't on our side this time. So, hey, get your act together out there, YouTube. But again, patreon.com/DisUnlimited. And if you are still with us in the chat, don't forget, if you haven't done it yet, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you get notified when we have the stuff going up. And if you're listening out there, hey, thanks for listening. When you get the time, if you want to rate and review us, that'd be swell too. Really appreciate you. So that's it for this week's show. No catchphrases were submitted this week, so it makes me think not a lot of people get to the end of this part of the show.
Definitely. People are not listening to the end. So, submit a catchphrase for Rhino. He'll read it at the end. We'll give you credit. It's fun. It's called engagement, from what I hear.
I was trying to think of like a long engagement joke or something like that. Anyway, well, I think that's going to do it. So I'm just going to end it because it is lunchtime. It is 2 p.m. I'm going to say, yummy, yummy.